Okay, we're back. Let me see if I can get... Oh, he's not on yet. There he is. Okay, let's add him. Okay, so let's see if that worked. So what I was saying is we are going to drink a Chardonnay. That's really fun. From just outside of Bordeaux. And Clyde will tell you more about it, but this is made by Hubert de Boüard, who's also the producer of Angelus. Let's see, is he coming in? He might just be having a bad internet connection. So we've also got a Merlot by same producer. That's fun. We've got 2010 Lestage. This is so good. Awesome vintage. And then this is from Listrac, Medoc. And then we've got a Magnum going on from Malescasse. 2006 Medoc. Oh, Clyde's unable to join. Sorry, folks. Let's see. Let me send one more time.
Hey.
Can you see me?
I can see you.
I can see you.
I was playing hard to get.
Well, I'm glad you made it.
We got so many wines.
I know, we do. We should get going.
We better start.
So I showed them a few. Let me go finish going through the lineup. So we've got the 06 Arnauld. We've got the 04 Haut-Bergey. The 97 Chateau Grandis. Sorry for my French, it's lousy. Chateau Gaudin, 97. And
right.
Last but not least, the 96 Val d'Or.
Okay, it's a little.
So do you want to start with this guy, the Chardonnay? It might, I don't know, maybe it's not in the cards. Well, Chardonnay's lovely.
Oh, can you hear me
now?
now?
I see you, yeah.
Let's go real fast.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us about this guy.
We're supposed to talk Bordeaux here, but now I'm fading out again. Okay. But
I see you.
Just keep talking.
No. I know, sad. I see a sad face there. What should we do? I don't know. I don't know what to say here, guys. We lost Clyde. Okay. Well, I have Clyde's notes, so I can tell you a little bit about what we've got going on, and maybe he will come back. So somebody asked, oh, here he is. We're going to keep trying, guys. Go live with Clyde.
connecting.
We're going to keep trying.
Okay.
Can we try it?
Yeah.
Just keep
All right.
Okay, so tell us about
We're
this.
supposed to talk Bordeaux, but we're doing a Chardonnay first. Hubert de Boüard, the winemaker. I wanted to pick these two wines because Hubert's a very good friend, and we just got these wines in. And you know, you can't have Chardonnay in Bordeaux, but we found this wine delicious, very easy to drink.
Delicious.
It's like a poor man's the Rombauer with better acid. Okay, very fruity. Easy to drink. I know Alex Schroeder's drank about 5 bottles already of this wine in the last week or two.
Well, it's $22.99, so that's not too shabby. You can take a couple of them home.
No, and Hubert de Boüard is very famous for Chateau Angelus. We're not drinking any Angelus tonight. And he's a consultant for about 300 wineries all over France. And this is a project that he started just a couple of years ago And we tasted this whole lineup. We liked the Chardonnay a lot, and then the Merlot.
Did he
Chardonnay.
tell you how he got into the Chardonnay game?
No, we haven't talked about that. Okay, I haven't been there I missed it last year and everything. So
Yeah.
he always wanted to make something that was non-Bordeaux-ish, and he represents a lot of different people all over France. But anyway, the wine we thought for $22, delicious, easy to drink, but it's not Bordeaux and it's not definitely old Bordeaux. It's the 2018 vintage, and it seems like I'm rushing a little bit. But the Hubert de Boüard Merlot is a 2018 too. Now that wine is from Bordeaux and sells for less than $15.
And I noticed they did it in the Burgundy bottle. I wonder
Yeah.
why he chose that.
You know what? I'll have to ask him that next time I see him.
Yeah.
And this is 100% Merlot from Bordeaux. There's a lot of blackberry in this wine. For $15, easy to drink, goes down smooth.
And spice and a little leather. Some nice structure.
Yeah, I opened this bottle I opened all these bottles about an hour ago because they needed some air.
So did I.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to mention those two Hubert de Boüard wines because I think they represent really good values. We don't usually carry wines that just say Merlot or something like that, like Mouton Cadets type stuff. But we thought this wine warranted a place in the store.
It's great. It has like a yummy sort of olive tapenade on the finish. It's really interesting.
Yeah, very, very nice, easy to drink wines. I'm going to put those over there. Now we have 7 bottles of Old Bordeaux. And when I say Old Bordeaux, over 10 years old. At KNL, we say Bordeaux, if you're old, it's over 10 years old. So, and this is our specialty of Old Bordeaux. This one is the first one we have, the Lestage 2010. I'm going to go from the youngest to the oldest. Okay, we'll start with the youngest one, Lestage. Interesting property. A little story. Years ago, Michael Broadbent, he wrote good books on Bordeaux, and on his 1961 evaluation, which was a great year in Bordeaux, he mentioned this wine as they should get out of the wine business.
Oh no! I'm glad they didn't. This is so good.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit after that. Okay, this is 60 years later, and they've really improved the property. It's from Listrac, and Listrac is kind of a powerful, old school style region. Okay, Lestage still has a little bit of that old school flavor, but I thought for 2010, great vintage in Bordeaux. The wine shows very well, I think. This one really needs some air. 2010s like being big wines, and this being a big property that makes big wines. 2 nights ago, I had the Lestage 16 in, I was in Truckee, and I had some cassoulet, and it went great with the cassoulet. So if you're going to make a cassoulet this weekend or something, try the 2010, but decant it, you know. One thing about all these wines that we're tasting, KNL's known for their old Bordeaux wines and old Bordeaux value wines too, not just Lafite, Rothschild or something like that.
This is $24.99 for this guy.
Yeah, we've been searching these wines ever since KNL started, because restaurants don't play with these type of wines. All the wines you get in restaurants are 2 years old or 3 years old. They're too hard to drink, and these have age on them, and so they're much easier to drink now. And old Bordeaux ages very, very well if it's kept well, and it starts out good. You'll be surprised. These are so good, these wines. So
I love this.
$25 for this 2010.
It's got like sweet tobacco and cherry and baking spice.
Yeah, and it definitely has enough backbone to keep going for a long time. The problem that I had with 2010 lesser wines when I was over there tasting was the wines were so hard. Because 2009 they were all sweet and easy to drink, and the 10, and I go, oh boy, these wines are going to take a long time. Well, we're starting to taste a lot of these inexpensive 2010s, and they really have come in around a lot. So this one probably needs another 5 years before it's actually ready.
I think it's drinking great tonight.
Yeah, if you had a steak or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
For me, these are going to go with pizza later, but you know, pizza in Bordeaux is a good, good one too.
Friday night pizza.
Yeah.
So after
Malescasse.
Lestage, one of our favorite properties at K&L, and definitely Ralph's one of favorite value properties. This is big bottles. This is perfect for two people.
Yeah.
Magnum, right? Like Anthony Barton says, Magnums are great for two people if one of them's not drinking. Okay.
Or for the appetizers.
Right. So Malescasse, we've carried for many years. And in 2007, we've sold over 4,000 bottles of this in 750s. We were able to find about 50 or 60 cases of the Magnums. And so we jumped on it. 2007 vintage, you know, it's not one of those big powerful vintage like 2010. 2007, it's the curse of the sevens, okay? 77, 87, 97, 07, 17. All those wines, none of those are great vintages, okay? We call them interesting vintages or restaurant vintages because the wines don't have the strength and power like 2010 to go for a long period of time.
Yeah.
But the wines are delicious, you know. And wines like this, you can actually just drink this way. It's just Magnum. And Malescasse comes from an area near Margaux, you know, in the Medoc, and so it has the elegance of Margaux. And
yeah, I mean, when you have it in Magnum, it's going to age longer no matter what it is, right? Because this is still so fresh.
Sure. This is, the wine has this violets almost, like I find in the wines from Margaux.
Yeah, I have violet pastille and briary fruit, earthy pepper spice.
It's savory. The tannins are on the soft side. If you get a chance, if you're going to have a bottle like this, I sure think you should decant these wines. You know, some of the people in France don't think you should decant, but a little bit of air really helps these wines come around. And like I said, I opened this about an hour. I didn't decant it though.
I didn't either. I just left mine open.
Yeah, I know Ralph was going to buy a bunch of this wine because he was pushing it on the 750s, and now we got the Magnums. And what are we selling the Magnums for?
$34.99. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that's a steal.
It's got great acid. It's still really fresh.
Yeah, and we're going to have some more for the 97s now too. But like I said, the 07, the 97, and the 87, especially those three vintages, nobody wanted to buy them because they weren't great vintages like the 96 or the 86.
Right, so they just came after really good vintages, and they, you know, were paled in comparison.
Yeah, so we ended up buying a lot of these wines because nobody could get rid of these wines, so we got them at really good prices, and we've made our reputation on buying off vintage wines that really taste good. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for taste. We're not looking for. We don't need 98-point wines all the time to drink.
Right.
You know?
So how does this guy in Magnum compare to the 750?
Pardon?
How does this guy in Magnum compare to the 750?
It's a little bigger than, I mean, yeah, the 750s were a little softer, but this wine, like you said, it's Margaux. It's on the softer side. I think it's a wine that we're going to sell out very quickly when we put out an offer for some 07s that we just got in. We're going down to the 06, and it's a great chateau, Chateau Arnold, which is
this guy.
Yeah, Arnauld, and it was a property that we first tasted in 1985 with Bill Black, the great Vintex negotiant. Bill Black, this was one of his favorite wines back in the day, and we bought it for quite a few years, and then we lost track. Bill got out of the business, and then I saw the 2006 on a list, and I go, we got to taste this wine, you know. we bought the wine, and since we bought it 2 years ago, we sold over 3,000 bottles of the wine.
Wow.
We just got our last 100 cases, I think, of the wine, and this wine is selling for like $21, $21.99.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a medal on it, but you know, some kind of one of those mini fairs that they have over there. But Chateau Arnold, it's got a soft spot in my heart too, because it's right next door to one of maybe my favorite restaurant in all of Bordeaux. It's called Lion d'Or. It's all the vineyard people go there, all the winery people go there because there's no corkage.
Oh, that's great.
You know, and you can bring bottles of wine, and all around on the walls are different chateaus with all their bottles there, you know, in glass and everything like that. Food is great, old school. You know, tête de veau is fantastic, things like that. But it's right next door to Chateau Arnold, and which is in Arsène, and it's right between Margaux and not too far from Canterbury.
So you're probably not going to get there this year either, right?
I'm going to get there this year.
Are you?
Yeah, I was talking to some people in France over emails today, and we'll see if France opens up. I said I want to be on the first plane. Okay.
You should get your vaccine soon, right? You can get it?
Yeah, I'm a little bit afraid of shots, but
well, you know.
I'm only 75, so I'm waiting for over 75. Okay. Okay, so the Arnold. So what about the Arnold? So what do you have here?
So I get it's really, really silky on the palate, sort of chocolate covered cherries. It's really yummy.
Yeah. In 2006 was an interesting vintage. It came after the fabulous 2005s, and the sixes were quite good in their own respect, but they were priced maybe a little bit too high on the classified gross. But this wine is aged very well. It's softer. Some of the 06s had a missing hollowness to them, but this wine is good all the way through.
Yeah, I think it was a great palate. So why do you think that they overpriced the 05s? Because I mean the 06s because they were coming off such a good vintage of the 05s.
Yeah, Bordeaux always overpriced everything, you know, and especially and that's the problem with 87, 97, and 07. Mm-hmm. They priced those wines after the great vintages that preceded it, and figured, oh well, we'll just drop it 5 or 10% from the high-priced top vintages. It didn't work. In 87 and 97 was a disaster, and we ended up we sold more bottles of 97 Bordeaux than any other vintage after the prices came down. And
yeah, I mean that ends up being great for us, right? Because then they've got it.
And especially great for the consumer.
Yeah.
They're drinking good wine all the time. So this is a 15-year-old Medoc wine at $21. Tough to beat. I mean, there's some good California wines out, but I don't know too many at $21.
Yeah, not with the age, and you're starting to get a little bit, excuse me, of like the secondary characteristics there. So this kind of maturity you're not going to get for $21.99.
This one is on the silky side. The next one that we're going to taste is the 04 Haut-Bergey. Property in the Pessac, Leognan, down there, owned by the Garçon family, who's relatives of the Cathayards from Smith-Lafitte.
And we had Helene out here. What was it last year? It was 19. We had Helene out in Hollywood.
Really?
Yeah. You were here, right? We had a dinner.
Absolutely.
How's my volume?
And she comes out all the time, but and she was a great ambassador. Well, this was her property, her baby in 2004. She doesn't own that property anymore. Her brother and her split up the property. She stayed at Bordeaux on the right bank, and he stayed at Haut-Bergey on the left bank. But this is 04 vintage, a vintage that doesn't get the great press like 05 or 2000 or 09 or 10, but a very classic Bordeaux style vintage. And the wines were not terribly expensive when they came out.
Hmm.
This wine we bought when it first came out, and now we're selling this wine. And this wine is sold out like 3 or 4 times. This is like $30, $29.99 for very
There's
mineral.
Yeah, still a lot of nice structure on it and some incensey notes.
Yeah,
It's really
17
pretty.
years old.
Yeah.
It smells of that earthy mineral characteristic. They also make a white. We don't carry as much of the white, but we've been following the Haut-Bergey red for quite a while, and these old vintages are really doing great. We just did a big offering in 2010 Haut-Bergey, more expensive than this wine. It's got some, but we just got a bunch in. We're offering it out for about $44, but it's a 2010 vintage. Got 95 points or something by somebody.
Yeah, it must be drinking great 10 years in.
Yeah, and then the 09 Haut-Bergey, also a great wine. 01, great. Stay away from 03. They have problems in 03. Okay, the wine's a little bit overripe, but
This is great. It's one of my favorites of the night.
yeah, I think probably the softest of the wines so far on the palate. You know, the tannins are very round. I think it'll still go for quite a while. Gary Westby, I think he's bought 2 cases of this already. And he just tasted it, I think it was last Friday night. He has a steak and claret night. It's like tonight, Friday night, right?
He does it every Friday, I know.
Yeah, everyone. And he's had that on 2 different occasions over the last couple of years. And I think and he said, I'm going to buy another case of this. Okay, because there isn't very much more of this wine out there. So Bordeaux, inexpensive Bordeaux can age. All Bordeaux can age very well. I think it ages as good as any other red wine in the world, if not better. But now we're going to go back into the 90s. So now we're going over 20 years old to wines that are all selling for under $30 a bottle. You know.
Yeah, and weren't the 90s sort of the era when Robert Parker was there, and there were a lot of there's a lot of influence there, a lot of big wines.
Yeah, and Robert Parker actually wrote about the Haut-Bergey 04 and Malescasse 07. He left after about the 2010 vintage, and you know, he would taste these wines and he was wondering why more people don't buy them, and why these wines aren't in restaurants and stuff. There's so many good, you know, Bordeaux has its bad reputation of everything is so expensive, and
yeah,
there's so much great wine out there. You don't have to drink Petrus, you know, or it's nice to drink it once in a while, but or even Lynchbage, things like that. You can always go back to these type of wines and have a great meal, and people, you know, will go, wow, this thing must be very expensive, and you know you only paid $19 for the bottle. So.
And why do you think that is? Do you think that they're just the small petite chateau that aren't getting their stuff across the ocean?
There's no marketing for them and everything. You know,
yeah.
Some of these wineries that we're finding now, they've had stashes of wine because they didn't know how to sell it for years, and you know, and then finally negotiate, or young, maybe the son or daughter take over, and they go, "What's all this wine doing here?" You know, and so negotiants go in and they buy these big quantities of and clear them out. And we found a lot of those older, under $30 bottles in the last 3 or 4 years, especially. It's, you know, the new generation says, let's go, we're going to modernize now. We will say that some of the older wines are a little bit more old school, kind of like I am old school, okay?
And you that's your style, right? You like a certain, like the old school.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about 100% or 200% new oak, or garage style wines, you know, which are really, you taste the oak all the way through. I like to taste a lot of the fruit and let the fruit come around, and so with that said, we'll go to a wine that we've only carried one other vintage of, and do you have the Grandis there? The Grandis? And this is Medoc, 1997. So 1997, this property, I've never been by the property because, first of all, the property is way in the north of Bordeaux, Medoc, north of Saint-Estèphe, and north of Saucier-de-Malay. So it's way up there. A lot of Merlot up in that area. Latour de Bie is up there. We tasted that before. I think we did that with Mark's thing. Couffran's up there. So there's a lot of good value up there. For some reason, Grandis, we sold about 2,000 bottles of the 98 back 8 years or 10 years ago. And all of a sudden I saw this 97 come up on the list and I go, we should taste this wine.
It's great.
They sent a sample and I'm going, whoa. And this wine's under $20. I think, what is it, $18.99, something like that?
$18.99, yeah, it's so bright fruit.
40% Merlot. I was just, when I was doing the sheets for this, and I picked this wine to taste, I'm looking at it, the sales we're selling out real quickly of this wine. So there may be only like 4, 5, 6 cases left as of today or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, how can you go wrong?
I'm going to try to go back and load up again because under $20, pretty tough to beat. 23-year-old. So this is 23 years old Bordeaux from a no-name chateau, from a vintage that was poo-pooed as the 97 out. It's not like 95, it's not like 96, not like 89, 90, no, it isn't. And the expensive wines were overpriced in 97 until they decided, oh, well, we got to sell it. So they lowered the prices and we sold, I don't know how many 100 cases of Pichon Milan, 1997. If you ever get to taste the wine, it's unbelievable. And I had a bottle about 2 weeks ago. It was perfect wine. We were selling it for $29 a bottle. Now it's $250 a bottle or whatever. So
yeah. How long have you been holding on to that one?
No, I just got some from the chateau, but they overcharged me for it, But I've been drinking the 97 and lovely wine. But this is for $18.99. Very fruity.
There's some nice pepper on the nose, but really fruity. On
a little savory, and it has some rose in there. There's about 50% Cabernet, I think, in this wine. I don't know how in these days chateaus like this can stay afloat, with all the high costs and everything. This wine doesn't cost very much when it goes from them to the negociant, and to us. I mean,
do we know anything about them? I mean, have they had the property forever? Maybe they don't have any rent anymore.
You know what?
Mortgage.
That's a good question. I don't know that much about them. I think that it's got good terroir because you can tell by the wine, and hopefully somebody will continue it on, and pretty soon it'll be a staple for K&L all the time.
Yeah.
The second to last wine is a very interesting wine. It's Pauillac. Okay, Godan.
Another 97.
97 Godan Pauillac. And you're looking at the alcohols on these wines, 12.5% now. These aren't 14, 15. These are the old style of wine. Godan is a property that, and this one's called the Godan Reserve. I don't know what that means, okay? But this property is situated almost next door to Pichon Milan.
Really?
And it's Latour, Pichon Milan, Pichon Baron, Belgrave, Gaudin, and Aubage Liberal, right in that line there, on your way up to Lynchbach. We went by the chateau ever since 1985, and we kept saying, "Oh, it's an old chateau." And, we never saw the wines, never heard anything about the wines. I don't even know if they were even sold by anybody. It was a family-run operation, and about 2 and a half years ago, I see it on a negotiation list, and I'm going, Godan, what's happening? Well, there's some new ownership in there or whatever, and they decided to sell some of their wine. And so we tasted 90. I said, I want to taste all the vintages, but I especially want to taste the lighter style vintages. The lighter vintages like 97, 91, things like that. Okay, because this is a perfectly situated vineyard. It's very close to the water. It's the neighbor of Pichon, you know, and so, and we tasted some of their other more powerful vintages, and the wine is old school all the way. Okay, this is Gary Westby right now for Friday night.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, Cindy, I think Cindy's on, so Cindy, take note.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get some of those old school, the classic Pyrazine sort of notes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. In the Cabernet, it's only 11 hectares. Lots of Cabernet fruit, and the wine is still. It needs to be decanted. We brought this wine in, and we sell it for like $30, right? $29.99. We brought it in experimentally 25 cases. It sold right out. We brought it in again 50 cases. It sold right out. And then we bought another couple of vintages, and I was looking at a list the other day, and the guy says, "Oh, we still have some." And so I bought some more in because it keeps selling out. Okay, so
it's good.
There's some people out there that like to buy 23-year-old wines for $1 a year, you know, or $29.
Right. It's very elegant.
Yeah. Well, it's old school elegant. Okay. Yeah. And you're not getting a lot of oak in any of these wines. I don't.
Nope.
Yeah. They couldn't afford all these new barrels and everything. Not like the big guys.
Yeah, but you get so much fruit.
Yeah. No.
I think the wine. Later.
There's even Carmenere in here, I think. But I've never visited. I went by one of these days. We're just going to drive in there and knock on the door and say, "Hey, can we taste all your old wines?" I bet there'd be some great treasures back from the 50s and 40s and stuff like that. You know,
so I know you've been going for what, 35, 40 years to Bordeaux?
Yes, 85 was the first vintage.
So I mean, do you have a guide that helps you find all these obscure chateaux, or are you?
No, we've been there so many times. You know, we're not going there to taste, to find little places like Grandis. If we're tasting the vintage, like say the 2020, if we go there this year, we'll taste 2020. We have to hit all the high spots. We have to go to, you know, Lynch 5. We have to go to Pichon and Mouton, and because those are the things we have to write about. We taste these in a tasting with a negotiant in an office in the back, because you can only go to so many properties, you know. And you know, Bill Blash was proud. He used to go to 23, 24 properties in a day, you know.
Yeah, I've heard you guys are busy on your buy trips, where it's just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, but and now they just send the bottles to us. Okay, so it's easier, but it's not as much fun.
So somebody has a question for us. Could we each pick a favorite from this flight?
Can we each pick a favorite? Okay, I have one more to go.
Okay.
The 96, but which I had last night also to drink. Oh boy. I don't know. Right now, if I want to drink one right now, the Haut-Bergey is pretty sweet.
It is.
It's in a good spot. I love this label.
Yeah.
Valdo. Old school. It looks like, what did we watch? The movie Robin Hood the other night.
Perfect.
All right. 1942 or something like that. Val d'Or, a property that I couldn't tell you, you know, where it is. I mean, it's in St-Emilion, but there's 4,000 properties in St-Emilion. So it was a wine that we tasted the 95. We brought it in. It sold immediately. Now you're talking right bank here. So you got definitely a lot more Merlot. Okay. But old school Merlot. This is, you know, what's the alcohol on this wine? 12 and a half. They probably lied.
Yeah, 12 and a half.
It's probably 11 and a half, but you know. But anyway,
which comes in handy when it's a 9-wine flight.
right.
11
Well,
and a half alcohol.
this one is 1996. Now, 1996 was a great Cabernet vintage. So the 1995 was a great Merlot vintage, and the 1995 Val d'Or was just sweet and lovely and elegant, and it sold immediately. Well, it's all gone. And so we got the 96. The 96 has more structure. You know, the Cabernet is structured a little bit more. They've got a couple of young owners in this property, and I expect this property to really take off. Okay, they've got a pretty good website. I was on the website the other day, and maybe I have to drop by and see them. We bought some magnums in of 2007, which is quite nice. Okay, and we bought some 2015 in of Val d'Or. So, but the 96.
It has an interesting, like, spearmint eucalyptus note to it. A lot of spice.
Like Wrigley's gum or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Still young. I mean, none of these wines, I don't know about you, but none of these wines had any corkage problem. I didn't find.
I had one that was slightly, but it was negligible. Yeah.
And they're all fairly fresh.
Absolutely.
They've been stored well in some of these old places for years. The bottles, you know, they bring the bottles out, put the label on. They've changed the Val d'Or label a little bit to make it a little bit more modern style, but I like that old style.
I like the old style. Yeah, it's cool.
I'm prejudiced to old wine because I'm old, you know.
But look how well it ages. I mean, this is a beautiful bottle.
Well, I think these age better than I do, so.
You're doing pretty well.
Anyway.
So if I had to pick a favorite tonight, I really did like the Lestage and the Haut-Bergey. Those were my two guys for the night, I think.
Haut-Bergey can't go wrong with. Malescasse for a couple more years.
Yeah.
You know, and it depends on your style. There's a little bit more elegant style, maybe the Grandis, a little bit of the Gout. If you like that big old knock you over the head, the Godan Reserve. That's a great wine. But you serve it with live game, right? Power.
With live game?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anybody else have any questions out there? That's our lineup for the day, for the night.
Sorry we had a problem with the connection.
No, it ended up working out great. I'm glad that we kept trying and didn't give up. Let's see. So how are the 2020s? Have you gotten to try those yet?
No, the 2020s will come to us in April. The 2018s just arrived.
Oh,
remember, okay. This is the week we usually do the UGC tastings,
right?
Of the Fête de Bordeaux and everything, and we did it last year. And we just got 30 cases of the 18s in, so we have to go through them. We opened up some of the whites, and Steve Bearden has a couple of the Domaine de Chevalier and the Carbonieux white, and so. Next time we'll probably go do 18 Bordeaux's because they're getting big scores. A lot of the wines are.
Was it a good vintage?
Yeah, a good vintage. Rough growing conditions, but you know nowadays every vintage is great in Bordeaux. You know.
Yeah, you know I've read that they're even considering new grapes in Bordeaux because of climate change, because it's getting warmer and.
Oh, maybe. Don't know that.
I don't know.
We're thinking about planting in Half Moon Bay a bunch of grapes down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very warm.
What are you gonna plant?
But Carmenere.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, no questions, jeez.
Well, maybe the wines just speak for themselves. So I will put up the list of everything that we tried tonight up on the Instagram video, the IGTV. So check that out. And always feel free to PM me if you have any questions, or I can pass things along to Clyde if you have questions for him.
And I have to come down to LA pretty soon and do that 1988 dinner.
Yeah, I hope you do.
You know,
Get
February.
your vaccine.
You guys ever open up down there?
I know. Well, get your vaccine and come on down.
I'm afraid of
Someone will
shots.
open it. Oh, well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you
Thanks.
so much, Clyde. Nice to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know what happened. It didn't